Hey, good morning and welcome to Breakthrough Walls. I'm Ken Walls and I'm your host. And today, back by popular demand, I have the one, the only CEO and executive director, I think, of the Napoleon Hill Foundation. Mr. Don Green is joining us today. He's been on the show, I don't know, 2 or 3 times now, 4 times. I don't know. I think we're losing count, but I'm even wearing my lapel pin for Think and Grow Rich that Don gave me. And I need you to do me a favor and share this out with everybody that you know. Share it out. Let's get thousands of people on here listening to this man's wisdom and blow it up. Let's go. We'll see you guys in just a second. And we're back. Let's bring Don on the show. Mr. Don Green, welcome back to the show.
Thanks, Ken. I appreciate your time and effort to talk to me a little bit about promoting what we're trying to get done in the United States and all over the world. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you're certainly doing a heck of a good job with it. I said to you the other day, I don't think there's anybody on planet Earth that's done more to promote Napoleon Hill and his works than you have. I mean that. I don't think there is anyone that's done as much as you.
Yeah, for 24 years, it's been this has been full time. After 18 years as a bank president, but even before the 24 years, I was on their board, and I did a lot of things just because I wanted to, like putting up a historical marker, getting a class taught at the University of Virginia, stuff like that. There was no compensation, nothing for it. It was, the college did pay me. I taught it 11 times, but I turned the money back over to them for a scholarship. So
Wow.
I've been involved a long, long time. And we started in, at the end of 1999, I read the minutes. They had 16 books. And today we've got, my assistant says, 120 something other odd number of books, all of them related to Napoleon Hill. A lot of them are his writings, a lot of them are his speeches. And for example, I'll tell you something that got a little bit odd. Everybody's always talking about his quote of whatever the mind can conceive and believe the mind can achieve. But I think interesting background I'll share with you. I'm told you a few where that came from. You know, his and he told where it came from in a graduation speech he made at Salem University, and I have a copy of that speech. He said that when his son Blair was born without ears, even the doctor in the family and the doctor said, "Get used to it. He'll never be able to talk. He'll never be able to hear, and you can teach him sign language. He can go to special school." And Napoleon would never listen to it. He worked with that young man Urs every day, and by the time he got up in school, he had 65% of his hearing, and an absolute miracle. But that's where he got the quote from, and he always remembered that. And in fact, his son Blair, he went through regular high school, graduated from West Virginia University, and became a business person, sat on a bank board, was successful, died at a kind of early age, but it wasn't due to his hearing. But just remarkable, that one statement, what it says. But so many people, they don't really believe it. They might have an idea, but they're not in it 100%. And we know that persistence makes a difference.
And it's what the mind can achieve, or what the mind can
conceive and believe.
It can achieve.
Yeah. And we know that belief is necessary, because if you don't believe you can do something, why should you even try? You know,
Right.
and that's what it comes down to. Or my friend Zig Ziglar, I mean, at a fundraising, he summed it up pretty good. He said, "How bad do you want it? How bad do you want it?" And most people don't. They'll take it easy route or something or other. But you read Steve Jobs' autobiography, when he's considered one of the four geniuses of our times, and he said he had ideas, but it was persistence that paid off. Once he had an idea, he didn't have the answers, but but he believed in persistence, sticking with it until you accomplish what you wanted to do.
So, and I've told you, you and I've had, anytime that I call you, we get on the phone, or you call me, we'll get on the phone and talk for an hour or more. And I love listening to your wisdom. It's just unbelievable, and I'm so grateful for our friendship. So you wrote a new book, and thank you for sending me a copy of it. It's sitting on my desk at home, and I literally was like, I need to put that in my briefcase, my backpack, and bring it with me, and I completely left it at home. I'm at my office right now, but show everybody. I'm going to give you full screen. Show everybody the new book. It's called A Millionaire Vision: How to Create the Life You Really Want. Now, Don, I'm gonna be the devil's advocate for a minute. I hate it when people say that. But there's a lot of books on that topic, right? There's a lot of books on the topic of becoming a millionaire, being a millionaire, creating millions, and all of that. What inspired you to write this book on a millionaire vision?
Well, my daughter and her husband, they have a place, a second home in Hilton Head Island in South Carolina. And we were going down there, and I'd noticed it that she's driving my car, and we're going up the mountain, Interstate 26, and you can see the church all the way from the interstate. So now I don't even know the type of church, but it had a huge brick wall, and it had big letters, and the letters are very simple and it's easy to read. Where there is no vision, the people perish. Joe, straight out of the Bible. I told my daughter, I'm going to write a book. You are? Yeah, I'll write one on vision. I've given a class. I've taught it. I've still got my notes. Back in 1998, I said, there's a lot of books about being a millionaire, but not a lot of books on creative vision. I can't even say the name, but there's one called Creative Visualization, which I read several times.
Mm-hmm.
But I just got to thinking about it, and I told the publisher, they made me an offer to advance before they ever seen a word. I told them what I was doing, and
Wow.
And I told them it would be good and it would sell. And it just come to me. I worked on it of a night after work. I do not do any writing at work at home, and I did it in about 2 weeks. It just came to me. Real, and to me, it's an important subject. So, Ken, if people's in poverty, what do they vision? What do they see? They see more poverty. What do they get? More poverty.
More poverty.
More poverty. We have to see ourselves like a roadmap where we want to be rather than where we are. My friend Jim Stovall, his first book, he's written 60. I published 7 or 8 of them, I guess. But
wow.
I did one with him, A Gift to Giving. But his first book was, he's blind at age 29, and he's done 60 books. His first book was, You Don't Have to Be Blind to See. That's what it's about. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
And I saw so many stories, and some I could recall. About one of them I told in the book. A little girl was a family of coal miners, and she visioned or dreamed, or what you want to word, of being able to go to college. And of course, there was no way they'd go to college. They poor people. and she saw in her mind big brick buildings with vines growing up at a college. Well, as she finished high school, she had good grades, and she got word to come down to the priest's office and it seems that this lady that was well-to-do, she had left her estate, and she said, pick out a little girl that needs to go to college, and they selected her, and she ended up going. And when she got to that college, there it was, a big old brick buildings with vines growing up just like we saw. Now you can call them miracles or whatever, but we have to envision and concentrate on what we want. Hill told us over and over. He told us, keep your mind on what you want and off what you don't want. And I'll tell you a little story, will be part of a book. There's a lady before Hill, which her name was Ella, E-L-L-A, Wheeler, W-H-E-L-L-E-R, Wheeler Wilcox. And she wrote about our subconscious mind. And of course, Hill read it. And she talked about how, and this was before Hill, she talked about how our conscious mind feeds into our subconscious mind, and it becomes a part of us, and we act on it. So subconscious mind, it don't care what you tell it. You can tell it, you can give it bad message, good message, or whatever. But we learn by repeating things. We keep telling ourselves over and over and over, I can do it. Or we can take the other route. There ain't no way I can do that. Ken ain't gonna give me no job. He don't know me. I don't have enough education. And you're defeated before you're ever there. I'll tell
Don, I'll just for the record, I will give you a job. You're hired.
Well, I had an incident once, and I won't tell the guy's name or anything. It was many years ago. I had this gentleman from Massachusetts, I believe. Anyway, he told me he had a 1919 January Golden Rule magazine, The Hill, which is really, really, really scarce. That's the first year it's printed. There's only a few hundred of them, and probably not. I like to never found one. I'm telling you, I mean, I never found one, because that was the one missing in Hill's archives. I don't know why. Anyway, this guy, he called me and he said, "What will I give him for?" I said, "Man, it's not mine the price." I said, "It's yours. You just tell me what you want. I'll say yes or no." And so that's the last I heard from him. For 2 or 3 months, he called back. He said, "You still interested in that magazine?" I said, "Yeah, I guess I am. I don't know what you want for it and all. And but you never tell me." I said, "I can't buy something if you don't price it." And he said, "Well, I'm 2 payments behind with my house. I'm out of work, and I'll take $700. That's a house payment." I said, "Okay, I'll send you a check." He said, "Oh, wait a minute. He said, "You'll have to send me a cashier's check, or I'll have to wait till that your check clears." I said, "No big deal." So I sent him that cashier's check, and he sent me exactly what he said it was. I would, and I called him. I think, I might help this gentleman. He told me nobody's hiring. He had a bad attitude, what have you. And so I called him, and I told him, I said, "You're the first person I can ever call that I issued a cashier's check, because most people I know, and I do have a little bit of money. I don't want to boast or anything, but
Right.
I trusted you. You said you had the magazine. You would send it to me. I would not come to, I think, Massachusetts. I would not have come up there. I would not have hired an attorney if you hadn't sent the magazine, because my time's worth more than it. I would just figure, well, I learned a lesson for $700, and I go on about my life." And I said, "I'm going to tell you something. Another reason you don't have a job. You got a bad attitude. You go into an employer looking for a job, and it's written all over your face." I said, "You need to approach people and say, I'm out of work. I just want an opportunity to show you that I can make a good employee." And I talked to him for maybe 5 minutes or so. When he got through, he said, "You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right." He said, "I've been mad ever since I lost my job. Work for them people all that time, get cut off, yep. And so he's carrying that with him when he goes into seeking employment."
Yeah.
And that was his problem. So I hope I helped him out a little bit. But I still have the magazine. It's in our archives.
I got to see that. I still need to make a trip over to Virginia to see you. But I was just telling somebody this the other day. I'm like, you're not. Brian Tracy was on the show, and he was saying you got to write it down, write it down, write it down, and I'm like, so I'm telling somebody the other day, I'm like, take the brakes off, metaphorically, take your foot off the brake pedal in life and start dreaming bigger and write down what you want to create and I know, and we're going to talk about your book that we're talking about today, but create a vision board and dream big. Like, dream big. There's no limitations except for what's in here, and you don't have to understand how it's going to come to you. And I'd like for you to touch on that, because I think that so many people will say, well, I want that big ranch with 20 horses and the money to pay. I want that thing. But then they set the goal, they want that thing, or they'll write it down, but then they get all caught up in how they're going to accomplish it, how they're going to get it, how it's going to happen. I'd like for you to talk about that, because I personally don't think that you need to worry about how it's going to happen.
No, if we know why we want something or another, as Viktor Frankl said in his books, Man's Search for Meaning, he said, if we know why we want something, we can figure out the how. Now, okay, let's say Ken's here, we're in Virginia. We go through the archives and we decide we want to go to a nice place in Florida. And I'm going to get in the car and we're going to load up and we're going to take off. And Ken sees a sign that says Chicago. Don, you're going the wrong direction. We got to turn around. We're not going to get to Florida. We're going towards Chicago. So we don't know all the plans, but we can make the plans. The first thing is to start with what plans we have. Most people are waiting for everything is perfect. If you search for all the answers before you start, you'll be saying someday, and there's not a someday in the calendar. It's 7 days, but
someday ain't one of them.
Someday is not one of them, and so that's it. You got to start from where you are, and you may not know all the details and what have you, but the starting is the point. You got to, that's the most important part of all, is starting from where you are. And you'll be surprised that the answers will come to you. You'll get connected with other people. You'll learn from their experience, their expertise, or their financial backing, and it'll all come together if and you truly have a burning desire, which is an absolute. And that's what separates most people. Hill, in one of his things I read, he was talking. He said, on the average, how many times you people try something before they quit? And they holler 2, 3, 5, 7. No. He said, I said the average. When you factor in the people that never started, it's less than 1, because most people never start. They have ideas, and ideas themselves are worthless unless they're put into practice. So that's good advice, but again, that's where old man fear creeps in. They say, Ken say, well, my mother-in-law, she said I wouldn't amount to nothing. I guess she's right. My wife said, we can't spend that kind of money. All these people throwing all these negative things at you, and you have to fight them all. You just say, if nothing else, just tell yourself, watch me go. And all those languages that comes to you, all that advice that comes to you, the most important advice you'll ever get, and languages you'll ever hear, is the talkings that you give to yourself. Someone can tell you, Ken, you're not dressed right to meet them people. And you can think, well, I think I look pretty daggone sharp. I know what this jacket costs, whatever. But if Ken goes to the bathroom, looks in the mirror and says, Ken, you look awful. We tend to believe what we tell ourselves, especially if we repeat them. And like we said over and over again, the subconscious don't care what we tell it. It'll accept it. And the more times we say it, just like learning ABCs, multiplication table, whatever, and the more we say it, the more it's likely to get stored in our subconscious part of our brain. It's extremely important.
I have in the beginning of your new book, and you please hold it up as many times as you want so people can see it. I really want people to go get this book on Amazon, right? It's for pre-order right now, but it's called A Millionaire Vision, right? And so I think, in the beginning of the book, because you sent me a pre-release copy of it, and I'm so grateful for that. Thank you. But you talk about a vision board and a vision, creating a vision board. And I did that many years ago. I mean, many years ago. I read a book by Jack Canfield and Janet Switzer called The Success Principles. And they talk about a vision board in there. And so I thought, why not? I've never created one. Why not try it? So I got this cork board. It's sitting right next to me, actually, because it's here to add some stuff to. But I created this vision board, and I made this thing in Photoshop of a Forbes magazine cover with me on the front of it, and it said, "Who is this guy, Ken Walls? America's wealthy are reaching out to him for advice." And I remember one day Mark Victor Hansen called me, and he wanted some guidance on a technology thing. And I remember hanging up, and I looked over and I'm like, oh, it's happened. It's happening. Like I have some unbelievably successful people reach out to me for guidance on certain things now. So I think the power of a vision board, as you state in the book, is unbelievably understated in life.
It's funny how it comes about. I'll have to tell you the one little one on Zig. Zig was overweight, and he was overweight. And I don't remember who it was in it, but there was an ad for a guy, real trim, one of the sports people, I think. Anyway, he had on boxer BVDs, or
Yeah,
that's all he had on. So
yeah,
Zig takes that and puts it up on his door where he gets ready every morning, and he has to look at it. Of course, he's quite a bit overweight, but he took up running and so forth, and he said he hated it, but he stuck with it. And he said one time he was out west, I believe, Oregon or Washington. Anyway, he's running, it's raining. And he said, it's raining. And he said, it come to me. I was just enjoying that to the utmost because I know that I was getting there. I was losing that weight. But now I tell them in my book that we have to be careful because what we want, it'll come true. And in the early ages, because I grew up with till I was in high school, we didn't have a bathroom in the house. Dad's underground coal miner, and
yeah.
and so forth. But I was reading these books, and along the line, it was such like as a Rolex watch, and a black Mercedes, a stack of money, and so forth, and I saw it every day, and and to tell you the story on the because somebody asked me what I wanted from a watch. I've had it to 47, 48 years, I guess. 18 karat gold Rolex. It's called a presidential now because Lyndon Johnson wore one, and
Wow.
they named it presidential. But then one time when we came over to work in banking in '75, which one of my mentors still is, and a donor and a fantastic man, give me a job in the bank. He started a bank when he was 29 years old. I was working in a finance office, but anyway, we had to buy a townhouse. We leased our house to a doctor in Tennessee. It's too far to drive back and forth, so I leased my house, and so I couldn't find anything suitable, so I bought a townhouse. And of course, quick as I bought it, we moved into it. I started looking for a place, and for my friend Jim, I got an acre and a half. But my wife was looking at Better Homes and Garden. On the back side of it was a 2-story house made out of cedar, and it was an ad for Olympic paint, and I think it's Olympia, Washington.
Yeah.
And so she liked it. So I wrote them a letter and asked them, was that a house or just a drawing? No, it's actually a house. It's in Brandon Mill area outside of Richmond, Virginia. So within a matter of days, I'm in the bank, and the president of the bank, I was second person in the bank president. said, Don, said Robert Black, the president of the Federal Reserve in Richmond, is going to be doing a seminar in Richmond. I kind of like for you to go and see what you could learn. And I said, well, that'd be great. So I took my wife, and of course we had the address of this place. So as we left Richmond, we're just a few miles out of the way, we went to the Brandon Mill. They had model homes there, and this was one of them. And so I met with the gentleman. We took some pictures, and the man that did the design, he wasn't there, but he gave me his card with his address on it. So I got in touch with him once I got back home, and I bought the plans from him, and I hired a builder to build the house, and that was built in 1976, and I'm still living in that same house today.
Oh my goodness!
It's just amazing how things come about.
It is. Wow.
It really is. And I mean, I tell the young people, dream big. It don't cost no more. It don't cost no more. And
yeah,
and it can do it if they really want to do it. In the law of success, the first part of the law of success that he published in 1928. It's the first of it says if you can do it if you think you can do it. And then the last page in the book is winners never quit and quitters never win.
Amen.
That's the end of the law of success of 1,400 pages. But in between that, it pretty well sums it up. But Ken, you know it, and I know it. When people start making excuses, they're punching their ticket to failure. Because you can make all kinds of excuses. Your daddy didn't send you to the right school. Get over it. They done the best they could with what they had, and more than likely. And you can make all excuses you want to. You didn't go to the right school. You didn't have the right marriage. Nobody. You can on. None of them will do you no good. You might as well get on the front porch, get in a rocking chair, and rock all day. It won't take you nowhere. It's comfortable, but it won't take you nowhere. You got to get up off your butt and do something. And if it doesn't work out, just laugh to yourself and say, well, I learned something from that thing. And God knows I can write a book on what didn't go right. But some of them was comical, and some of them cost me some money. But I never bet it all on one roll of the dice. But that's how we learn. That's how we learn. You know. That's
how you learn. And you know, I wrote in my first book a saying I heard from Dr. Wayne Dyer, I think, and it's pain is the predecessor of all wisdom. And if we don't, I think people spend so much of their life living in a way to avoid pain, so they're not willing to take any chances, or not you know, they got to get comfortable and stay. And I'm personally, I'm not cut out that way. I don't, and I can't relate to being just sitting in a rocking. I can't do it.
I don't know if I've told it on your show or not, but the story was that this gentleman visited his neighbor out in the country, and they were talking about politics, I guess, and women, or what they talk about. And the old guy had a big old dog, and he's on the front porch, and they're talking. That dog's making a noise, just kind of groaning low, and it relates so much to people. So he asked his neighbor, said, "What's wrong with your dog?" And he's making that noise. Well, said he's laid down on a board. It's got a nail sticking up from him. That nail's gouged him. He said, "Well, why don't he get up and move?" He said, "Well, it's not hurting him that bad." And see, that's what a lot of people are. They're not doing right, but they're kind of comfortable where they are, and they don't want to risk getting up and moving. You know.
Wow, that's powerful. That is powerful.
Well, I used the quote in the book from Ralph Waldo Emerson. It simply said, "If we only knew what we're capable of, we'd amaze ourselves." And I include myself in. I include everybody in. We can do so much more if we would just dedicate and think what we'd do and use our mind and to do it, and not be afraid of the risk of failure. I mean, just like people's Well, I looked at the stock market thing while I was eating my salad at lunch. And I can remember my wife, lover, was married 54 years when I was investing in stock. She said, I watched television. She said, buying stocks seemed to me like it's awful risky. I said, Phil, honey, the biggest risk in life is taking no risk at all.
Yep.
So, and I don't want to boast about my stock thing, but you know the names: Apple, Microsoft, and Amazon, and the list is a long list. If you just bought them a few years ago, you're mighty comfortable today. But there is some, risk involved, and there is risk. Hey, listen, there's a risk involved. It's more accidents occur at home than anywhere. You're at risk of when you get up in the morning. You know. You know, I mean, you could say, I'm not getting in no car. I was just reading where there's all kinds of car wrecks. I'm not going to get on a plane. There's one crash last month somewhere or another. Well, you're going to be miserable the rest of your life. You know, that's crazy. But I think
that's so true.
But the risk, and when you see the accomplishment of it, you know it overall. It's rewarding for you to take. I think we was meant to. You know, I had lunch with Art Linkletter. And God knows I don't remember the year, but it's close to 2000. I've been working on maybe in 2003, 2004.
Hey, your nephew's on here, by the way, Tom.
Yeah, but he was talking about when he was born that I think he was born in it was about 2003 or 2000. I've been working a few years. Anyway, he was born in I think 1912 or something. But anyway, he was up in years, and he said that life expectancy was 45 years old when he was born. And you know, I was with him a couple of days with the people from Guidepost magazine, and he talked about him. His mother gave him away. He wasn't bitter. And he said a middle-aged couple, raised him, and he said he would laugh about it. He said his father saved souls 7 days a week. He worked in a shoe shop 6 days, and the Sunday he preached. He pastored a church, and he saved souls 7 days a week. But his story is absolutely amazing. You know, about World War II. Him and Bob Hope and the other friends, they bought that land around Palm Springs, which was basically desert. Which is one of the richest places on earth, I guess. But and he's fun. He's still funny too. He's still funny.
Wow.
Enjoyed being with him. So many experiences from being, the signage you come in my office is on the board artwork from my social media girl. She teaches in Tusculum College. It says there's 2 ways to learn from books and being around smarter people. Dawn Green. I asked her why she said that. You've probably told me that 1,000 times, Dawn. I said, well, if you come up with some way or another other than from books and related products and people, let me know what it is. You know, today, well, it's yesterday in my day's mail, but it come yesterday. I got 4 letters from people in prison, and we get some every week, but I got 4 of them in one day, and almost without exception, some of them like Corey Blunt, who played with Ben here and spoke. He played with Michael Douglas, and then they traded him to LA. And he played with Kobe Bryant when he's a rookie, and he said Kobe. Fact is, he sent me one of Kobe's books, and probably worth a lot of money now. But anyway, he said he was going to be the best player that ever played in the NBA. But Kobe was exposed to our books by guess of who all people. Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was a friend of W. Clement Stone, our chairman. And he exposed a lot of people to our books. But the old boy in prison, if you visit me, I'll show you shoes. He's 22 and a half when he played for the Bulls. And he's 6'11". He told me he never read a book they got in prison. I said, you went through college. He said, you don't understand. He said, they don't let a star basketball player fell out. He said, they give me a test ahead of time. He said, that's all I had to do is study the test. I had the information. He said, they don't want to let you fail out. And it was amazing. But he read our books, and he said, I asked him what happened. He said he was driving his Cadillac Escalade with 80 pounds of marijuana. And he said they didn't like that. He said it wasn't his. Anyway, he got 2 years in prison. He served 18 months, but he come out and he done well. I mean, he's been touching me. He come there and spoke to the kids, and he's
wow.
He goes around speaking, saying, telling kids you better stay away from this stuff, and what have you. So turned out
that's
real
so
well.
awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was amazing. But we know that lots and lots of people have turned their life around. But here's what happens to most of them. The book I did, the Napoleon Hill's Golden Rules, I had the magazines, and I chose them. And I put first one I did was John Wiley. It's called Napoleon Hill's Golden Rule. And he talked about our social and our physical environment. Our physical bit, our color of our hair and our eyes, we get from our parents. Not too awful much you can do about that. But our social environment, we can change. But that's what's happened to a good part of people in prison. They go in there and they serve their time, they pay their debts to society. But what happens to most of them? Go right back to the same community, same friends they had that they went to prison. They have to change their social environment and start being associated with people. I don't care where it's a church, Kiwanis, Lions Club, or other, to where they'll be exposed to a better caliber of people. Otherwise, the term I use in prison is recidivism. In other words, that means return back to prison. You would think someone served a 5 or 10 year prison term, they would do everything they could to stay away from it. But the percentage of them that return is
way up.
It's high. It's high.
Yeah.
And it would help them tremendously. All kinds of guys you and I don't follow, they say you're the average of 5 people you spend the most time with, or whatever.
Yep.
We know that, and the books we read, and as Mark Twain said, people don't read it. They know better on people that can't read, and there's so much truth to that. Because
I think, Don, everything you're saying, you've said a lot of this before on the show. I think that I remember when I asked Brian Tracy, because I said, Brian, people are going to hear everything you're saying. They know that you're right. They know they need to write stuff down. They need to create goals. They need to have a vision. They need to have all these things that we talk about, but then they won't do it. And that drives me crazy. I said to Brian, I said, how do you get people to do it? And he said, you can't. I said, that's not the answer I wanted. I want to know how to fix those people. I want to know how to get them motivated. And I'm afraid that there's no way. It has to be through their own pain, I guess. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, we keep teaching this. That's the reason I wrote this book.
Yeah.
And Think and Grow Rich.
Great book.
77 times he used the word action. And if he is a secret, that's it. Once you've got an idea, it's not worth anything unless you do something with it. And
Amen.
Hill said he was in Iowa somewhere that I remember reading. He was and some guy come running up. He got a whole stack of paper. I've been writing on that. I've been writing on that. And he said, "What have you done with it?" One old guy said, "Almost anybody can write a book, but you got to work to sell it." That's a start. But so many people, and it's in fears. And he talks about fear of criticism, fear of failure, and all these other things. And, well, even my dear old mother lived in her 90s. Bless her heart, she lived. She got married 2 months before she was 14. She wasn't pregnant. She didn't even know what that was. Her mother died when she was 8. There were 16 kids in the family. So she didn't have a kid when she was 16. But anyway, she's in her 90s, and she told me one day, and she Dad worked the mines. He got crippled up. He died at age of 76. Mom lived almost 20 years by herself. And she's very active in the church and all this other stuff. But she told to me one day, Dawn said, I know I hear people say, you're making a lot of money. I said, well, I don't know what a lot of money is. She said, we know if you make too much money, people won't like you. I said, Mom,
wow.
them people got a problem, haven't you? But I mean, that's actually thinking, you know, if you're not getting done with the friends you got, maybe you need some new friends, you know, maybe you need some new friends. But
It's so simple, though. It is simple.
yeah, it is.
It is.
It's like our following a diet. Of course, the first three letters is DIE, but anyway, getting on the right foods. We know it. It's pretty simple to do. Guess what? It's pretty simple not to do, and so many people choose not to do.
You're right.
We go either one. That's the reason. Probably the most powerful little book I've ever seen is ours, and I found it in Mr. Stone stuff, and I published it. Did a little bit on it, but it's called Power of Choice, Your Greatest Power, written by a psychologist. I've sold over 1 million copies of it, and I don't let nobody publish it except for foreign languages, because I have got one book distributor who has bought way over 250,000 copies of that book. He'll buy anywhere from 5,000 to many as 30,000 at one time, both in English and in Spanish. And I look, last year he did eight shipments of that book. And that's all it is. Power of a choice. You get up this morning, you can start popping some pills, drugs, whatever. Yep. You can go do your show and contact these people that want to share their advice or whatever. But guess what? That's what separates us from animals. We got the power of choice. We can choose. We can choose to, or we can choose not to do. And I know you've heard people say, "Boy, I have the hardest time making a decision." No, there is no such thing. You make a decision, do something, or you make a decision not do nothing. So you've made a decision. Just hopefully you made the right one. You know, if you made a decision not to do nothing, you've made a decision.
Wow. I think I want to hear about the book. Justin Benton's on here. He says Don sends out more books than Amazon. I think that might be true, actually. But the book, open up the book, and we're talking about A Millionaire Vision, and what are some of the chapters that you go into? I wish I had my copy with me. I cannot believe I left that at home. But what are some of the chapter titles?
Vision and visualizations, finding your purpose. Of course, we know even a good book says we must find our purpose. I'm not much of a preacher, but Rick Warren wrote a book on purpose-driven life, and I think the last time I looked, it sold 45 million copies. That's all it is. You know, we got to find something other. I call it something to get you up in the morning. You know, if you don't have anything, get up in the morning, just lay in bed. I mean, you know, if you don't have anything to do, nothing worthwhile, something that you have a passion for. I said, if you have a passion for something, when you get up in the morning and work on it every day and think about it, you're going to sleep, you're going to do well. I don't care what the odds are is. If you stick with it and have that passion and want to do it. And as old Zig says, how bad do you want it? You know, that's it. But I talked about positive mental attitude, which we know absolutely is a necessity. Who wants to be around somebody griping and complaining and carrying on and all? So the positive mental attitude, effective Mr. Stone, he used to have friendly discussions with Hill. You know, he had the 17th principle, which is positive mental attitude. And he said he should have been ranked number one. It was kind of a kidding back and forth. And Hill said, no, it's a starting point is you find your purpose. But then I did a chapter on make reading a habit. And, you know, I noticed that even when I was first started in the finance business, the people I was around, they were avid readers. You know, and when I took the job at $1.15 an hour, that I go in people's homes, because at that time in the early 60s, not many people had phones, especially people who borrowed from the finance company paying 20-some odd percent.
Hey, your camera fell down a little bit there, Don. It looks like. It's got you cut off a little bit there. There you go. We can get it back. Yeah.
Back up.
Well,
Yeah, I'll see.
we can. There you go. There it is. Got it. Perfect.
I see my buddy pushing Do It Now. That was Mr. Stone. We swear Nike stole that from him because actually I still got some of them in my drawer. He gave away thousands of Bo Buttons that said "Do It Now" on them, and
Wow.
on the inside of it, he had that. I had W. Clement Stone and Jesse Stone Foundation. He had a foundation.
Wow.
He give the things away. He give the things away. But I said that made reading habit. Is it a coincidence that people poor because they don't have books? I mean, people. Here's something I saw somewhere. And I won't claim originally. It said rich people have books, poor people have big screen TV.
Yep.
And I think there's a whole lot to it. I was man, probably a year ago. I was coming out of the bank. Don, you got a new book out, haven't you? I said, yeah. I said, I think maybe I haven't got one in the car. And there's a lady standing over beside us. She was not part of the conversation, but I knew her, but I didn't know her name. She said, I love to read. I just don't have time. I said, well, ma'am, I don't want to hurt your feelings, but when I was in banking, I said, I read where people watch television 7 hours a day. And I formed a cable company and had it for many years and sold it, which is now part of Comcast. And I said, we did well. And that was it. Is even when I told my wife, I said, I set up a corporation today with an attorney. I said, I'm gonna build a cable company for TV. Why? You don't even watch TV. I bet everybody else does. But I noticed those people. My friend Jim Brown, who's in that book 101 Attributes, a terrific daughter and a mentor. He'll kick me if you know what I'm talking about him. But he's a very private person. But he's an avid reader. Our attorney for 23 years, Bob Johnson, who finishes. He had the highest grade point of average as a freshman class of anybody at the University of Michigan, and his dad had exactly the same title 20 years before. Both of them were avid readers. Bob and I exchanged books, and I won't go into all of them, but we read dozens of books on families that built wealth and the kids or the grandkids squandered away. And it was like Johnson, Kellogg's, Maybelline, and the company Winchester Guns and the other Colt, the other guns. I mean, the list is a mile long of families that accumulate millions and millions of dollars. But either the kids or the grandkids, they all squandered away, and there's very few of them have maintained that legacy of having that money. You know, they squandered it away. They didn't use the same principles that was put in front of them. But reading makes all the difference in the world. And my mom said to me one time, you know, I put up 8 of them little birdhouses, they call them, in front of the libraries that's in our area, and I keep them stocked with books, and they're free. It just says, as long as I'm free library, take a book or leave a book. And no requirement. And my mom said, someone's in here the other day, they just talking about how many books that you put in them little houses. Said, you guess them people read them? I said, Mom, this kid read them. That's the reason I'm not killing myself working in the coal mines. I said, a long time ago, I said, them coal miners make a living and feed their families, but it's a killing job. And I said, the people really making good money is them people I read about in them books. And I said, I was bound and determined I was going to be one of them. I was going to be.
You know, I think about this because I think I've shared with you before that, you know, in 12th grade, they called me to the office and said, hey, you didn't get a biology credit in 10th grade. You failed that class. And I said, well, I didn't go to it. So I hated it. So I just didn't go. And they're like, well, you need that to graduate. And I said, but I've got calculus and analytic geometry and trigonometry. I aced all of those. And you're telling me I need biology. I don't want biology. I don't like it. And they're like, but you need it. And I said, I don't need it. And they're like, you do. And so finally I said, then I'm out of here. So I walked out. I didn't graduate high school. I didn't go to college. And I remember at 20, about 20 years old, I got a job in sales, 20 or 21. And I remember going on some sales calls thinking, man, I'm gonna be like Don Green. I'm gonna be rich. I'm kidding. But I remember thinking, I'm gonna go out here and sell. I'm gonna make commission. I'm gonna do great. And I didn't. I didn't do it. I figured out one day that I was pretty daggone dumb. So I remember hearing that rich people read books. I remember that you always see the big library of books before you see the big house. And I'm like, okay, so if that's the secret, then I'm just going to start reading. And I started reading and I read Brian Tracy and Zig Ziglar and Tony Robbins and all and Napoleon Hill, all the stuff. And it completely changed everything in my life. And I continue to read. And people like you continue to send me these amazing books and I continue to absorb all the time I'm reading. And I 1,000% know that that is the only reason that I've achieved the levels of success I've achieved in life. And I think that if people could get that one thing, so many people, you've heard this, Don. Well, I mean, I just don't like to read. I'm like, what? What? How can you not like to read? How's that possible?
Well, if you come into my house in my den, there's books everywhere, stuff I'm writing on. I was married 54 years before my wife passed away, and for 9 years, going on 10, I live alone. But I got a lady comes in and does my clothes, and I tell her, Jessica, you do a wonderful job. Don't worry about the books on the floor and on my sofa in the den. That's how I make my living. And it's worked real well. But
Yeah.
I just got books that people give me and books that I order. For example, if I'm hearing one of them guys speak or something other, they mention a book that I've not read, I immediately write that thing down. If I don't order it while they're still talking, I've got it down in writing, and that night when I get home, I'm gonna order that book and see what
Yep.
see what I've been missing. For example, my daughter got me one from a big thick book about 500 pages called The Money Kings, and it's about the Jews that came over here. I mean, almost with nothing. And I believe I read they are about 2% of the population, own about 25% of the wealth. What are they? What are they doing? I mean, if you look at the Goldman Sachs and the Solomon Brothers, all the banking houses in New York City, they're practically every one of them was founded by the Jewish people. And one old boy is 17 years old. His mother sold some money up in his clothes and he come over there. And of course, over there, even in Europe, they were prejudiced against them. They took jobs as seamsters, so most of the things they wouldn't let them work at. So they come over here and they started selling, and then they didn't spend all their money. Then they set up shops. They went door to door selling utensils and cooking things and so forth, pots and pans. And then they set up shop, but they didn't spend all their money. And then they started lending money, and then they started founding financial houses.
Yep.
And it's just their stories from where they started at and what they did is just amazing. But the books is just so precious. I mean, just so precious. I know that probably the majority of the books I give away never get read, but my obligation ends when I give it to them. I said, I'll tell the young people, sure, you have an opportunity later on, or are you going to say, gosh, I'm so glad I took that opportunity? Or are you going to be one of them that says, I wonder what would have happened if I had? I said, you don't need to wonder. I said, you've got to proceed and do the things that other people has done to become successful. I mean, it's only common sense. If someone bakes a cake and mixes all them ingredients, and you do the same thing, you might not get it exactly right the first time. You might have the oven too hot or something, or not hot enough, or whatever.
Right.
But you try again. You try again
Yep.
till you perfect it. And you like my mother. I said, my mother cook and bake something. She's throwing. I said, Mom, don't you never measure nothing? She said, have you ever had a bad meal? I know because they do it so much. It just
Right,
becomes routine to them.
right,
Uh,
right.
to, but to know that we have access to, we got the best library system everywhere. We're a small town, but we have a wonderful, in Virginia, we have a wonderful library system. And
Well, and that's you're constantly, that's one of the things I know about you too, is even, right there in your community, you're always looking for ways to improve it and make it better. And so you've got a hand in some of that. But Justin Benton said, I hope you guys do an Amazon Live. We're actually doing an Amazon Live on the day the book is launched, right? Which is August. What is the date again,
August,
Don?
yeah, yeah,
Is August what?
August 8th.
8th. Yeah, August 8th. I'm looking at my calendar real quick. Yeah, we're doing an Amazon Live on August the 8th to promote this new book of yours. Hold it up one more time, if you would. I want everybody to see it here. Let me give you. So it's a millionaire vision: how to create the life you really want, written by Don Green, and it's listen. It's on Amazon. You can pre-order it right now. You can pre-order the thing. So go to Amazon and look it up and pre-order it. I'm going to put it in my Amazon store also. So it'll be on my influencer store page here within the next 20 minutes probably. But Don, I certainly appreciate you, man. You always come on and you're so generous with your time and your wisdom, and I love having you come on and talk. It's always just, I walk away like blown away every time, like with so much wisdom.
Well, I just love what I'm doing. I dedicated this book to the followers of the Napoleon Hill Foundation and Napoleon Hill Institute. I think those guys have published. They published a Millionaire Mindset, but also I got a book. I think it's maybe October, and it's not me. I just put it together. Napoleon Hill, 90 Days of Positive Mental Attitude, which I think people will enjoy. It's kind of a
Yeah.
work study thing to follow through, and I put it together. It's basically Napoleon Hill.
Wow.
But this one's doing well. When book goes to print, we have a PDF file, and we immediately start advertising in foreign countries because we retain all the foreign rights. We
Yeah.
only rights to our books, and it's been like that for 24 years. Because we make so much money foreign, and we don't have to split it. And there's always people here want to publish our books, and they will take those rights only. But we've done it quite a few. It's done in Brazil and the Portuguese and Spanish, and I just signed one for Russia.
Wow.
Where we have 42 different publishers in Russia alone.
Jeez.
They publish our books and they're good to pay. I never had any problems with them.
And that's that. I mean, that you're literally the poster child for anything is possible. Like anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. That's just unbelievable. If you guys aren't following Don Green, first off, Don, I'm impressed. You're doing a lot of great things on social media. You're putting a lot of great stuff out. I think you write a book a week, maybe every 2 weeks. It's unbelievable to me. It's like I feel like you call me or you text me or email. Hey, I got a new book coming out, and I'm sending you a copy of it. And I'm like, wow, you just sent me one a month ago. It felt like that's just incredible. But again, when you have the mindset of anything is possible, then anything is possible. Period.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. As Ralph Waldo Emerson said. Yeah, I'm studying. I not only read Hill stuff and over, but I've tried to read anytime he mentions someone like
Yeah.
Wilcox or the lady uh, 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 Elsie Benedict, John Dewey. John Dewey wrote a book, 1901, I believe, on how we think, and of course he read everything. Samuel Smiles 1859 Self-Help Psychology. Probably the first self-help book is the best of my ability. And it was
Yeah.
it was a book on self-help of people overcome adversity or at least
Yeah.
persistence. It's a long time. Like one of the guys he wrote about was Isaac Watts that did the steam engine. Another the guy that perfected China that would withstand heat and just
Wow.
different things. But Hill wrote like that. But the difference in Hill went out and actually interviewed the people in person. He didn't sit
Yep.
in the room to write about it. He went out and did them. But he read Orson Swett Martin. But it's funny, both Orson Swett Martin, he wrote them, God knows it must be 40 books back there, babe. But he didn't get out promote like Hill did. He had a doctor's degree and a law degree from one of the Ivy League schools, maybe Harvard. But he didn't get out promote. Hill would go everywhere. I got a little book that showed he's in 83 cities in 1 year by car,
Wow.
in the 40s, promoting his books. And we've got newspaper clippings. I've got a real nice one. That I put up the other day. I put it on the board where people see it's 1933, in February 1933. R.U. Darby Associates present Napoleon Hill and Mental Dynamite free lessons. And of course, R.U. Darby is the one giving Hill the story about the 3 feet from gold. And
Wow.
Since my mammy's got to have 50 cents, and
Yep.
so, and that's where he got. People wondered if R.U. Darby, somebody maybe wouldn't know he wasn't Mark. Hill interviewed him worked with him in 1933. Of course, he wrote his book in 1937, and he repeated those stories that he got from R.U. Darby. But R.U. Darby, I think it's Baltimore Trust Bank Bill, and they held the things in. But R.U. Darby said was he quit 3 feet from gold, and he gave it up. But it said it taught him something. He went in the insurance business and become a famous salesman.
Yeah.
He learned when Ken said, "No, I don't want that insurance." He didn't take that no as an answer. He took a no as I've got to work a little harder to get it, and stay with it. So he did learn something from it rather than just completely quit.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing.
We got so much material on. I've got his Parker pen that he wrote. He taught Parker pen. The guy George Parker founded Parker pen. I've got his Parker pen with the green ink in it.
Wow.
In the case, we got so much material and manuscripts. The original Law of Success is about that thick. Only done on one side. It's weighed 30 pounds. Of course, it's 1,400 pages. Of course, he split it was lessons, and he split it up into 8 books or 2 lessons. And I did a little thing on it. The book sold for $2.50, and that $2.50 in today's dollars is about $60 some. Can you imagine somebody paying $60 for a book during the Depression?
Wow.
And he was able to drive a Rolls Royce. People were so hungry for material, and they didn't have Ken Walls on there promoting it. They didn't have the internet and all this other stuff. He had word of mouth or newspaper, and that's about it. Plus, he went to all them places and spoke. That was the extent of it. But the book, The Think and Grow, sold out in 6 weeks. They printed again. It sold out in, it was made about 3 months. They printed again. It's printed 3 times at the first year out. Right in the middle of the Depression. Kind of amazing.
Well, I want everybody. So to make it easy, I'm going to see if I have this banner. Yeah, here it is. So if you go to kenwalls.shop right now, you'll see Don's book in my store. I just added it, Don. It's the very first book in my store listed. Y'all can go over there right now to kenwalls.shop. That'll redirect you to my Amazon store. And I'll share my screen, show everybody right now what I'm talking about. So share screen and go to this, and here it is. So right there is the book. I just put it in my store right there at the top. I got your book listed before my books, Don. What do you think of that? So there it is, the Millionaire Vision right there. So go over there and get a copy of it, you guys. It comes out on the 8th of August, and learn how to create the life you really want. Stop lying to yourself. Stop My friend Grant Cardone says that, people try to rationalize where they are by saying they're happy with being average. And I just I think people want more. They're just scared to death to go out and try to get more and in life and help more people. And it's books like what we're talking about here today that Don has written that's going to separate you from everybody else and make a huge impact in your life and leave a legacy. What do you think, Don?
Thank you very much. Yeah, in the end, you said chapters. I told some personal stories there, which seems to resonate with people real well.
Yeah.
The stories I wrote it's just a pleasure to do it. Of course, I've always loved books. My mom said I would be first one in the family to go blind because she equated seventh grade education. Mom, why'd you go to the seventh grade? You're smart aleck. That's as far as a teacher went. There wasn't no school buses, and the high school was about 20 miles away.
Wow.
So, but
Wow. Incredible.
we're just blessed with so much. With the books and so forth. They're so affordable and so forth. Can you imagine? I mean, I think if I pick up a book that you talk about or something, I know there's going to be one sentence in there or something that's going to resonate with me that I can use. I mean, just like I remember Jim Rohn. We all listened and read the same thing. I remember Jim Rohn he said these. In the Bible, I loved his voice. He said there's two types of peoples in there. He said one of them was examples of people that don't do it like this guy did. And then he had the example of the other guy, do it like this guy did. He said, what I'm trying to tell you is if anybody ever puts you in a book, make sure you're the good example instead of the bad one.
Amen to that. Oh my gosh. Wow. This is powerful. You guys need you need to go get a copy of this book. You can find it. It's on Amazon for pre-order. I have it in my Amazon store. Just go over to kenwalls.shop, SHOP, grab you a pre-order copy of it. And, or just go to Amazon and search for the name of the book or search for Don's name and you'll find it. I don't care if you buy it from my store or not. It doesn't matter to me. But what does matter to me is that I'm helping people like Don get the word out and wake people up to their real potential. That's what life for me is about, is waking people up.
We're helping kids to go to school. It's the reason I still work, because I'm not talking from age, but I'm 83. But just laying your head in front of me, you can't tell what it is. But anyway, this is a letter from Edwin Barnes. I know you heard tell of Edwin Barnes dated October 27th to Dear Nap. He says, if you weren't such a hell of a lot in correspondence, you know that since August I had retired from all business activities with Thomas Edison taking over and running for himself. He goes on and on talking about what he's doing. I got a whole stack of letters from Edwin Barnes.
Oh my God. Originals.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's unbelievable. Wow. I'm going to come and visit you. I have to. We keep saying that, and then life happens. I'm going to make a trip to Wise, Virginia, and I'm gonna come and hang out with you for a day when you tell me it's okay. I'm gonna do it. And tomorrow's my birthday, so this has been a wonderful birthday present to have you on. So thank you.
Happy birthday.
I can't believe I'm turning 28 already, Don. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it goes fast. It goes fast.
It does. I'll be 56 tomorrow. 56. Anyway, so Don, thank you so much. I appreciate you, my friend. And you guys go over to kenwalls.shop and feel free to type that in the comments for me so it's clickable from there. Put the www in front of it. But www.kenwalls.shop will redirect you to my Amazon store. You can click on Don's book and grab a pre-order of it. And yeah, so Don, thank you so much for coming on. I'm going to end the live stream now. Make sure you join us on August the 8th, which is the day. It'll be at 4 p.m. Central Time, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. We will be live on Amazon, Don and I, while on the date that the book is actually released. But go ahead and grab you a pre-order copy of it, and we will see you all on Amazon Live with Don. And that's at kenwallslive.com, takes you to my Amazon Live page. So we'll see you all then. Don, thank you so much for being on again. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you, Ken, and all those people listening. Instead of trying to help some kids to go to school, change your lives and change your world.
It's amazing. Stay with me, Don. I'm going to end this. We'll be right back. I'll see y'all later. Have a great day.